Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we are going deep into the world of nickel alloys.
All right.
So, nickel alloys, we are talking about some pretty incredible metals that most people don't even know exist.
Right.
But they're literally everywhere. And like I was reading before the show, these alloys are in like everything from deep sea oil rigs to jet engines to even spacecraft.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're used in these applications because they can withstand some of the harshest environments imaginable. Like you said, right? Deep sea, that's a very corrosive environment. Jet engines, super high temperatures, high pressure. So you really need a material that's going to stand up to those conditions.
And like reading through these sources, I saw obviously like corrosion resistance, strength at high temperatures. Those are the two that like really stood out to me. But can you tell us a little bit more about that and why that is so important for these applications?
Yeah. So corrosion resistance. You think about something like a deep sea oil rig.
Yeah.
It's constantly bathed in salt water, right? And salt water is incredibly corrosive to most metals. Like regularly steel would just rust away in no time.
Crumble, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Nickel alloys, on the other hand, they have this really unique chemical composition that makes them highly resistant to that kind of corrosion.
So they just last way longer.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And then in terms of high temperature strength, think about a jet engine, right? The temperatures inside a jet engine can reach thousands of degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So you need a material that's not going to melt or deform under those conditions. And that's where nickel alloys really shine. They retain their strength even at those extremely high temperatures.
So basically you need something super durable and that's not going to like completely fall apart under these crazy conditions.
Exactly. They're the superheroes of the materials world.
So like we were talking about, nickel alloys are used in all these different applications. I mean, the sources I was reading were saying aerospace, power generation, and it seems like nickel alloys are essential in a lot of those industries. But why nickel specifically? We have other metals, we have steel, we have aluminum. Like, what makes nickel so special?
Well, it really comes down to that unique combination of properties that we were talking about, right? The corrosion resistance, the high temperature strength, and nickel also has a few other tricks up its sleeve. It's very ductile, which means it can be easily formed into complex shapes.
Okay.
And it's also very well coatable.
Sure.
Other metals, they have their strengths, Steel's very strong, but like we said, it's susceptible to corrosion. Aluminum is lightweight, but it loses strength at high temperatures, so nickel really hits that sweet spot for a lot of these applications.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
It's like the best of everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing metal.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So one thing I was seeing that was mentioned a lot was forging nickel alloy parts. What's so special about forging these parts? Can't we just like cast them into the shape that we need?
Well, you could cast them, but forging actually gives you a much stronger, more durable part. Think of it this way. Have you ever kneaded bread dough?
I have, yeah.
Right. So when you knead dough, you're basically aligning the gluten strands in the dough.
Right.
And that makes the dough stronger, more elastic.
Yeah.
Forging does something similar with metal.
Okay.
It refines the grain structure of the metal, so it's kind of like kneading metal. And that makes the metal much tougher, more resistant to cracking and fatigue than a cast part would be.
So forging kind of like organizes it in a way that makes it stronger?
Exactly. And that's why forged nickel alloy parts are often used in really critical applications where you absolutely cannot have any failures.
So it's kind of like if you want a building to stand up to a hurricane or a spacecraft to survive re-entry, gotta forge it.
You want to forge those parts. You want to make sure they are as strong as possible.
Gotcha. Okay. So we've talked about a lot of the benefits of nickel alloys, but reading through these sources, it's obvious there's a lot of different types of nickel alloys. Like I saw Inconel, I saw Hastelloy, I saw Monel. Like, how do you even begin to choose the right nickel alloy for a specific application?
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there, but it's not as overwhelming as it might seem. Each nickel alloy has its own sort of specialty. It's kind of like choosing the right tool for the job.
Makes sense.
So you wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw, right?
Right.
So, for example, Inconel. That's known for its incredible heat resistance. So that's what you'd use in those glowing hot turbine blades in a jet engine.
Okay.
Then you have Hastelloy. Hastelloy is like the corrosion warrior, It can withstand some of the harshest chemicals you can imagine. So you find Hastelloy in things like chemical processing plants. And then for marine environments, you have Monel. Monel is basically like immune to saltwater corrosion. So it's perfect for things like boat propellers and desalination plants.
So it seems like you really have to know what you're using it for before you can even begin to choose like which alloy you need.
Exactly. And, you know, if you choose the wrong alloy, it can have some pretty serious consequences. Like, imagine you built a chemical tanker out of the wrong nickel alloy.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, you could have leaks, spills, explosions.
Wow.
So it's really critical to pick the right material for the job, and that's why understanding these different nickel alloys is so important.
So nickel alloys, the unsung heroes keeping our world running. They're in our planes, our power plants, even our smartphones.
It's true, and they play a vital role in so many industries that we just take for granted.
So the next time you are in a plane or you're looking up at a skyscraper or just enjoying all the benefits of modern technology, take a minute to appreciate the nickel alloys that are making it all possible.
Yeah, those hidden heroes working hard behind the scenes.
All right. Well, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, keep on learning.